What's up, internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. We are here on Tuesday, July 16th. We are 1 day away from the start of Big Brother 26. We have a lot to talk about today because the cast was revealed. We're going to go over each and every one, giving you guys my thoughts. Before we get into that, we do have a little bit more to talk about because, like I said, tomorrow is premiere, and we know some more details that we didn't know during the last video, including how on the first night, 8 house guests will move in. The following night, we'll have 8 more, but also we're going to have a mystery 17th house guest. We know very little about it, but we're going to talk about that later in the video. We will also be live for both of those episodes on Wednesday and Thursday right here on the channel. So you're going to want to hit subscribe if you are new here. Hit that like button as well if you enjoy this content. That is the easiest way to help support the channel. But we will be here live doing a watch along for both of the premiere episodes. Then, following those episodes, we will have the start of the live feeds. Technically, like early Friday morning, but like Thursday night after the episode. 1 a.m. Eastern is when the live feeds will start. There is a little bit of a catch with this, too, as well, because there is some issues that have just come about that we have learned about how the live feeds are going to work this year. So, if you're unaware, in previous years, live feeds have had a active archive to them. So that means you can rewind, you can do flashbacks. If you miss something that happened on the feeds, you could put in the timestamp of, oh, on this day at this time on this camera, I want to see what happened. And you would be able to do that for pretty much any point in the season. If you miss something, if you wanted to go back and see, it was really the big selling point of getting the Paramount Plus subscription to watch the live feeds after they already offered it for free for Pluto. The big selling point was like, well, if you can watch it free on Pluto, you can still have the flashbacks and the highlights and be able to go see what happened on the feeds, even if you missed it live. We're not going to have that this year. They are getting rid of that. It's kind of something that was sprung on us very last minute here, and it does a couple of things. One, it makes my job a lot harder, but you can still count on me, and I think it's going to make coming here for daily updates that much more important on things that you miss, things that even I miss. I'm going to have to catch up on at points, but it's going to be a little bit harder to keep track of things. I also think overall, this is a bit of a detriment to the overall toxicity that they're trying to uh, kind of handle with a decision like this. We've talked about it before how Big Brother Canada eventually had to take away their live feeds completely, and they did digital dailies mainly because of just this very toxic nature that some fans, I say fans because are you really a fan if you're taking it that far to personal levels? Um, they go a little bit overboard with things, and I say a little bit overboard, and that is a understatement of the century. And by doing this, I think they're hoping that hey, less clips will be out there and less things will be scrutinized harder and make things more difficult for them. And they're thinking that this will cause less bad press. I feel like all this is going to do is cause people to record things more. You're going to see more clips, but also we're going to get just weird things where people are going to make stuff up. They're going to say, so and so said this to this person. And how are we going to verify it? We won't be able to. People will be able to say whatever they want happened. And we can just kind of trust. It's an issue. And I think overall it's something that's going to be a detriment to the season. But, hey, we're driving through because overall I'm really excited about this season. This cast seems a lot of fun. A couple of other things before we go deep into each one of the cast members. We do have a draft that we do every single year here on the channel. If you want to get involved, there's going to be a link in the description down below, pinned comment, where you'll be able to join the draft. It'll take you to this site. You pick 3 house guests through the season. They're going to earn points. Points are pretty much determined by yours truly. And hey, it's at my discretion on how things work. But for the most part, you get points for winning comps, not being nominated. staying in the game, for a longer period of time, stuff like that. There's nothing crazy of like, oh, you had this many DRs that week. We're not doing any of that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a good time. Get your picks in. It's for fun. We had well over 100 people last season. So you're going to want to get in on this. It's really simple. Once you head to this site, the links again in the description, pin comment, you pick your 3 house guests. You put your name in here. As you can see, I put Ori. It doesn't matter what your name is. Just put a name. It just helps me keep track of who's picking who. And then you can see we have all of our house guests here. You can pick and choose who you like. Let's say you like Kenney. Let's say you like Lisa. Let's say you like Quinn. Are these my favorites? You're going to have to watch the video to keep watching and find out. But you can pick your team, hit submit, and you will lock it in. You can even pick the unknown player, even though we don't know who it is, how it's going to work. Whoever ends up coming into the game, that will be your player. So if you pick the unknown player, it's a little bit like rolling the dice, but hey, it's a little bit of a gamble. And I know there's some people out there that like a good gamble for their team, but it's very simple. Get your draft picks in. It's a lot of fun, and keep track of the season of who ends up coming out on top. But without further ado, I think it's time to kind of go cast member by cast member, and give you kind of my thoughts. We did do a live stream yesterday on Kick and Twitch. If you guys are wondering, like, oh, why was it so late for this video? I wish we got it sooner. If you were watching on Kick and Twitch, I'll put a little clip in right about here of just some of the stuff we got up to.
But there's people who've got Bibles and like mathematic equations that are like,
I don't think he understands what mathematic equations are.
if you win the first 8
he's, he's struggling really hard to think what mathematical equations are, and it hurts his brain. I feel, Matt, don't strain. Careful.
the probability of you getting to the final 4.
He's literally trying to envision. He's beautiful mining right now. It's like all the. Has he seen the room with the writing on the wall? Because he's gonna get. I'm worried about Matt. Matt's gonna hurt himself.
Is this much larger than negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus, and I'm like, yo, what are we doing? Like,
But it was a good time. Gave my just kind of initial thoughts. This is what has come after of kind of seeing more videos, seeing more information, kind of letting my thoughts kind of marinate a little bit. And give you guys some notes on what I think of these house guests, how they're gonna do, who I like, who I don't. Let's start off here with Angela, one of the older house guests that we have this season. But there's a couple of things about her that I don't know. I think I kind of like. She did say that she wants to be like Cody, which to me I thought was kind of just a funny house guest for her to be like, I want to emulate his game is Cody. It just kind of didn't fit. But she said a lot of the good things about Cody, right? How he was able to not push his agenda, but kind of suggest it, be there in the decision making process, but not be the one to really be the focal point that all the attention goes to. Kind of pull strings, but not be fully directly involved in it. And it's great talk. If she's able to pull it off, I think she could do some really good things. I think she'd be able to fit in with some of the other house guests as well. Normally, someone in her age range would be seen as like an early boot contender, but I think we have a few others who are potential first boot contenders that I think could take the heat off of Angela, let her kind of get settled, get some connections, and kind of make her way through the game. One thing is, I could see that she might just be the one to talk too much. She mentioned in some of her videos that she knows that, loose lips sink ships. But I feel like she gives me the vibe that she might be the chatty one, right? Like, it, everybody's had a job at like an office, and there's been an Angela there, and she's the one with the juiciest gossip, right? Like, she's the one you go to find out all the good information. And I feel like Angela's going to be that type of person in the house, and maybe she can use that to her advantage to build some good connections. I don't know. I could see her making jury. I could see her making jury, especially because if I was in the house playing, I'd want to keep someone like Angela around because let's be honest. I feel like I probably could beat her in some competitions, but I also feel like it's somebody I could build some trust with, even though you probably don't want to trust her. She says she's going to throw the morals out the window. I kind of like her. I kind of like her. We'll see how she does. A lot of talk. We'll see if she's able to back it up. Moving on, next we have Brooklyn. Here's the thing, I was worried about Brooklyn. When I first saw her, I was like, man, she could find herself in a role that I have another house guest in mind for now that I've seen all of them. The one to kind of be the focal point of the eventual girls alliance. It happens every year. Somebody does it. And I feel like Brooklyn was a candidate to be that person that would take the heat for a girls alliance. But I feel like there's, after seeing the rest of the cast, there's plenty of people that are potential shields for Brooklyn. And I think she'd be able to fit in both with the younger group. She'd be able to fit in with the older group as well because she's a mother. So I think that she's in that perfect spot where she could be able to make really good connections with a lot of the house and get a little bit further than I would have initially thought, especially after seeing the whole cast. So yeah, Brooklyn, I think there's some upside for her game. Next up, we got Cam. And I gotta say, I love this guy. Cam feels like he has all the tools to do really well in this game, but he's also kind of an obvious recruit. Like, I don't think he's probably seen much Big Brother, if any. I'm sure he's maybe checked out a season or two here and there. He's got a very big following. He's a physical therapist, but he's got a very big following from some music that he does. I haven't checked it out yet. But I don't think he's coming here for fame. I think he's kind of already got that, right? He's just very personable. I feel like he's also got this thing where there's been plenty of players like him, who didn't know the game at all, but they just understand people. They understand how to, have a conversation and connect with people on a genuine level. And that's something that you really need in this game. And I think Cam has that hand over fist. He has so much personality that shines through, and he knows it too. So like a little bit of that charm is that little bit of cockiness. And he's like, yeah, I know I got a great smile, right? Like I know I got this. So I think he's going to do really well, and I think he's going to be able to get in with a lot of different people. Plus, he mentioned that he wants to kind of work with the parents. He wants to work with the older people in the house. I would imagine people like Angela, people like Brooklyn. He specifically said parents, not even older, but parents. He wanted to work with people who were parents because he feels like they're people who are going to manipulate and be able to kind of do things with him. But also, I guess, right? He wants to keep those people close, and he doesn't want those people being manipulative to others behind his back. So I think that's all really smart as well. I don't know. I just have a good feeling about Cam. Definitely someone I think could do really well in this game and go very far. Moving on, let's head to Cedric here. 21 years old, former Marine. Um, I Here's the thing about Cedric. It's interesting because when I first saw him, he comes off a little arrogant, maybe even a little bit immature, but I think it's just that he has a big personality. Once he kind of got a little bit more comfortable in kind of the videos from the diary room that they recorded, it seemed like he kind of, it's all right. I kind of understand him a little bit. He's rough on the first go, and if he can get past that, I think he could make some good connections with people. I also think there's potential that he's going to be a comp beast. Cam as well, I think, could do well, but Cedric, he kind of feels like he would be someone who isn't very like big and built that people would look at as like, oh, he's going to be a comp threat, but he's going to have such great stamina. He's going to do really well in endurance competitions. Think like Jag last season, just how good he was. I could see Cedric fitting into a role like that. Um, but yeah, he's got a very big personality. It'll be interesting to see if he can overcome that and if it doesn't hold him back, if he can get past that initial roughness that he might give off. I think he could do decent. He could be someone though that is prime for a double eviction. Same thing with Cam. I think You can't let these two cook. You can't let them go far in the game because if you do, it could be trouble and you might not be able to take them out later. Moving on now, we have how do I say this name? You guys know if you've been following for a while. I struggle with names. I think this is the only. There's two. There's two names that I've been struggling with this season. This is going to be one of them. Um, just Chelsea? Is it Chelsea but just spelt weird? Is that what it is? I think it's Chelsea but just spelt weird. This is Chelsea. I like her. And here's the thing. I like her based on she's young. She's a director of a nonprofit. And to be that young, to be in a position like that at a nonprofit as well, she's probably somebody who knows how to do a lot with a little, make, different assets stretch and go farther than they're supposed to. Think outside the box to get things done because you don't have the resources. I could see her being very smart, being very good strategic player, but there was a couple of things she said that I didn't like. She talked about how she wants to have a great social game, and she wants to make connections with people. But she then also kind of talked about how she basically just wants everybody to see her as a threat. She wants them to be intimidated by her winning competitions and that they know that she's a social threat. It's like, what are we going to do with this girl? It's like, okay, that's kind of the opposite of what you want to do. You want to be more under the radar. You don't want to be that one that's a focal point. Do that later in the game and set up yourself up to do those things, but you can't be doing that the whole time, and that worries me for her. But I don't know. Is she the type of person I think she's going to be, or is she just going to let herself be seen as a threat and then she gets taken out pre-jury? That could be something that she ends up falling into. Moving on, next we got the man with maybe the best facial hair of the season, Joseph. He's a video store clerk in 2024. I don't know if I need to say much more. Listen, there's one thing I can say for sure is I I don't know where he fits in, and I think he's a pre-jury boot. I did that's the vibe I get. I do though. I do get mannerisms and even the way he talks sound like Matt Hoffman. it's it's a weird thing. I see it, and now that I see it, I can't unsee it. You might have that problem too. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't know where he fits in. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he's able to, get in with the guys, and they have a good alliance, or he's able to get in with a good group. I'm not sure, but I just don't know where he fits and how he's going to get along with everybody in this group. And I feel like I could see him being like a pawn star that people just throw up there because it's easy just to put Joseph up. If not, I could see him going really early pre-jury. But we'll have to see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Kenney, we've got again another one of our older cast members here. 52-year-old former undercover cop from Boston, and here's the biggest thing about Kenney. He just screams copper firefighter to me. Like if I saw this guy in the house and he said to me that he was not a cop, I wouldn't believe him. He shouldn't lie. He should just tell everybody, hey, I'm a cop. If he doesn't want to do that, hey, I'm a firefighter. You got to tell him something because if you don't, they're going to know that you're lying. It's just you there's a vibe, right? And you just if you know, you know. And this guy, he screams it. So I would not lie if it was him. If you're gonna lie, say you're a firefighter. Um, because I understand why you wouldn't want to tell people you're an undercover cop. It just screams, can't trust this guy. He's gonna be sneaky, he's good at lying. Um, Tell me you're a firefighter then, right? Like if you gotta lie like that, because I just don't think he can pull it off and say that he's not because they're going to sniff it out. It's just he screams it. He screams it. Probably gets taken out early though. If I'm being honest, I hope not. I really hope not. I think Kenney could be a lot of fun. I think he could be interesting if he was there for a long time. But yeah, it just I think he's got a rough road. I think he's got a rough road because he's gonna scream, "Hey, look at me! I'm an undercover cop," and it's just I just can't get it out of my head. Maybe they don't see it though, right? Maybe he is able to pull it off. Maybe he pulls out the firefighter card, like I said, and maybe that works for him. But I just don't know if it's gonna work out for Kenney. I hope I'm wrong though, because I do want to see him go and be there for a while because I think it would be fun. Next up, we have Kemo, who is a mattress sales rep from Hawaii. And like I said with Kenney, if Kenney told me he was anything other than a cop or a firefighter, I'd call bull. If Kemo walked up to me and said, I'm a mattress sales rep from Hawaii, I'd also say, bull. I don't believe that. But apparently he is. It sounds fake. Um, and I'll be honest, I think he is also someone who's kind of primed to be a pre or an early jury boot at best. Another one who could be just an easy pawn star. Yeah, put up Kemo, right? Like I could see that happening to him. I in his video, I'm somebody who I talk with my hands a lot, but man, does he talk with his hands and does he slap his legs? And I think we're gonna need a leg slap counter because he smacks those legs over and over. It was a thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think Kemo, he could maybe make some good connections, go a little bit further into the jury phase, but I just don't see a big run from him. I don't see a lot of kind of what it takes to really be able to have agency in the game. But maybe I'm wrong, and he does better. But yeah, that is Kemo. Moving on, next we have Leia. I Here's the thing, I kinda love her. So and I'll tell you why. She's clearly never seen the show. She has no clue what Big Brother is. She's probably going to ask at some point, like, "Who's this Vito dude? He sounds like he's got a lot of power." I just think there's something about her that she seems to actually get the game a little bit better than most. And what do I mean by that? Because I don't think that she necessarily knows what kind of strategy she needs to do. But almost everybody goes into Big Brother and they think, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, especially like so-called super fans. They'll go in there and be like, I'm going to create a big alliance. I'm going to have a little onion alliance built into it. I'm going to have my final two is going to be this person, and we're going to run the whole house, and we're going to do this. Yeah, and it just doesn't work out that way. Every single person has a plan until they get in there and it completely changes. Leia doesn't, right? They asked her, like, oh, who do you want to emulate your game after? And she's like, no one. I want to go in there and try and figure it out because I can't say I'm going to play like so and so because it's going to be a completely different group of people in there. And it's like, actually, you know what? I think she kind of understands a little bit how this game works. So I think she could be sneaky good. At the very least, she's a VIP cocktail server, and we all know they have a great history in Big Brother for being some very fun feeds. So maybe this could be a secretly good player, or at the very least, it's going to be a mess. And I'm kind of here for it. I'm kind of here for it. Next up, we have Lisa, and oh boy, she's in trouble. So remember what I said earlier about Brooklyn and how I said, oh, you know what? I'm kind of worried about Brooklyn. I was worried about Brooklyn until I saw Lisa. Lisa is 100% going to either be the one to start the Girls Alliance or take all of the heat for the Girls Alliance. And by week 2 or 3, she's going to be gone. This is 100% what is going to happen. I would put it down. And it's really interesting with Leia and Lisa because, like I said with Leia, Lisa almost said the exact same thing where she doesn't want to emulate her game after anybody else. She wants to be Lisa. But just the way she says it, it's so different compared to Leia. Leia says it, and it's kind of this like bubbliness, happy, quirky thing. Lisa says it, and it just comes off arrogant and harsh, and I don't know. There's just something that I think Lisa's gonna struggle with in there. Everything also felt like it was kind of just forced in there, and maybe that's why I got a bad vibe with Lisa. Maybe she actually gets in there, and once she's with everybody else, it's a completely different Lisa that we see. But I'm getting a feeling that Lisa is going to be a very early boot. She's going to be somebody kind of taking that heat for the eventual girls alliance that gets formed, and she could be in a lot of trouble. Next up, we got McKenzie. And listen, it scream showmance. I don't know who with. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I could see it. She probably does well. I could see her being kind of like a little bit of the co-pilot in a showmance that kind of does strategically well. She doesn't seem like she's not, uh brilliant, right? But she's got a good head on her shoulders, right? She seems like she's aware, but I don't know how much she knows about the game. She's definitely seen Big Brother 20. She was saying how she wants to be like Casey, and I just didn't know if she kind of understood Casey's game as well as she thinks she did. Casey's game was really all about winning competitions. So, McKenzie, if you're going to be winning a lot of competitions, good for you. But other than that, I don't know how much you're going to be able to emulate Casey's game if you're not winning competitions. But yeah, I see showmance from McKenzie. Next up, we got Matt. And here's the thing about Matt. Uh, he's kind of ditzy, but in a very charming way. Um, I could also see him being somebody who could get into a showmance. Maybe it's Matt and McKenzie. Maybe that's the showmance of the season. I'm not calling it, but I'm calling it, right? I think he could do decently well though, making connections with people. Like I said, he's kind of got this charming thing about him where he almost feels unthreatening in a way. Like, yeah, he's probably somebody who's going to be really strong and you would maybe think could be a competition threat, but you're probably not too worried about him and maybe you could get him on your side. But who knows? He could be somebody that they instantly go, hey, maybe he's the one that we sacrifice and get out early, or maybe he gets into a showmance and that kind of gets into a nice alliance. I think for some reason I kind of like Matt. I think he's got some tools that could make him pretty good in the game. Quinn. Here's the thing about Quinn. I got the vibe that he's going to overplay. And he seems like he could get dragged along and pulled in as like a number for somebody. And he's talking like a big game. He was saying he wants to be like Jason Guy and sprinkle in, things like Brett. It's like, dude, I don't know what kind of anchovies you're putting on your pizza. Like, are you a pineapple on pizza kind of guy? Like Brett and Jason Guy. Like that's not a combo, right? Um, I don't know if he would have the kind of tools to be able to pull that off or even to be able to pull off any move. I think he's probably smart enough to maybe do something, but I don't know if he'll be able to get into a position to do a lot of the things that he was talking about in his interview. But again, maybe I could be wrong. I could see an early boot for Quinn. I could see him being kind of an early casualty, or even being somebody who's maybe like an early jury casualty, like somebody who's on the outs of the alliance that they just eventually go, all right, now it's time for Quinn to go. But maybe he does better, and I'm completely wrong. Now we've got next Rubina, and honestly, there's the best way to describe her is she's spicy V. If you're familiar with Big Brother Canada, Spicy V, she played 2 seasons, Big Brother Canada 9, and the most recent season, the last season of Big Brother Canada, that we will probably have now ever with the cancellation. And Spicy was just an agent of chaos, right? Like Spicy didn't really do things always that were best for her game, but she felt like it was the good right move at the moment, so she did it. Spicy would do things that would pretty much throw a grenade into her game and then run away out of the room and just watch as it happens. And I get that same vibe from Rubina here, and I'm here for it. I think it would be a lot of fun. I think she's going to be an interesting character. How well she does, I have no clue. But I think she could be somebody who's a lot of fun to watch in the feeds and could be very entertaining. if she is how I'm kind of picking up the vibe of. Next up, we have Takor. Now, another kind of interesting person here. Very, very just engaging personality, a little quirky, a little bit fun, and also one of the most unique accents I've ever heard in my entire life. You can see her hometown is Chicago via London. So she has almost this perfect odd mix of Chicago and London, where some words sound both the Chicago accent and the London accent. Mid sentence, she'll say something that is very Chicago and then something very London. And I'm just so pulled in by that. And I think it's something that's actually going to be pretty good for her in the game. Along with just kind of her natural fun little quirky personality. Like she is the owner of a crochet business. I'm pretty sure she made the shirt she's wearing, right? Like she's an interesting person that I think will be able to kind of fit in. She's young, but I think she'll be able to get in with the younger crowd, and she'll be able to connect with kind of the older crowd in the house. And I think she actually could do really well in the game. And I'm excited to see how she does. Next up, we've got Tucker. Tucker's another interesting one. There's something charming about him, but also I could see where he just might not click with people, where they might just think of him as a little bit odd. He said he gets compared to Jim Carrey a lot, and actually I can kind of see that in some of his mannerisms. He also reminds me almost of like a young Enzo. He's just an interesting guy. I think could actually make some decent connections with people in the game. But if he doesn't, he could find himself on the outs. But overall, I think he's just got something. He's got a little bit of that X factor to him. I also could see, potentially him being good at competitions as well, but not being as much of the target because of other big players in the game. So there could be an interesting little spot for Tucker to go decently far in the game. And that covers all 16 of the house guests that we know. But we do know there will be some sort of 17th mystery house guest. How will this work? We don't really know. But I have a few ideas. For example, if it's someone like let's say a former Survivor player or whatever, some kind of reality star, maybe it's a former BB player, and the option is whether or not they should vote that person into the game, because that's the other key part of this. We know there's going to be a 17th house guest, and we know there's some sort of vote from the current house guests that we know, but we don't know much more than that. So in one scenario I thought of, if it's a returning player of some sort, be it BB, Survivor, whatever, why would the cast be incentivized to vote that person into the game, right? Why would you add not only a well-known player who you probably would know would be good at the game into your game? That just means it's another person that you're going to have to take out, another hurdle you're going to have to overcome, another person who could beat you in the game. Why would you do that if you're not incentivized? So they'd have to make it something worthwhile to the players if it's a choice of whether or not they should come into the game or not. And the only thing I could think of is if they're adding more money to the eventual grand prize. If they did something huge, right? If they were like, guess what? If you vote this person in the game, it's no longer $750,000. It is $1 million prize for the winner. I could see that being tempting enough for them to get them to vote into the game. But again, it's like, is that worth it, right? Is that putting another roadblock in your path? It's for then money that you might not get to because that person came into the game. Why would you do it? The other way it could go is if there's multiple options, right? Whether it be newbie players, returning players, there could be 3, 2, 4, 5, 17 different people that the house guest could choose from to come into the game. And maybe they're coming in no matter what. And that is the house guests will get a say in which one of them One of them's coming, and I could see that being a route they go to as well. But we don't know. This is all speculation, all things that I'm just kind of coming up with off the top of my head here on how it could work. But it's definitely going to add an interesting little layer into this. Also, what's up with the AI? Maybe the AI is going to have a part in this. I just don't know. And I'm really excited to see how it all plays out. But what do you guys think? Who are you liking in this cast? Who are some of your favorites? I think if I had to give my top three contenders at this moment, people that I have, a really good, strong feeling about, just something screams good player to me. I think it's going to be Cam. I think Cam is going to do very well. I think I'm going to have to also go with Tucker. I think there's something about him. He's a boomer bust kind of a player. I get that. And then also Leia. There's something about Leia as well. I think at the very least, Leia is going to be entertaining in this game. Who do you guys think? Let me know in those comments down below. Also, remember to join the draft. Get your picks in. We will be shutting it down at the start of the episode, so I'll be reminding you guys throughout the time here because we do have tomorrow as well. I'll be live on the channel. We'll be doing a watch party. It'll be a lot of fun. Come hang out. Just like I'm in the living room with you and we're watching Big Brother. You guys hanging out in the chat always ends up being a good time. You're going to want to hang out for that. Also, check me out on all of my socials. Check out the Discord. The Discord's a great place too. Especially, I think, with the way updates are going to go, the Discord's going to be a great place to kind of keep track of things you're missing throughout the day. If you're not able to keep up with the feeds and you were not able to go back and watch, post things that you're seeing in there, and that'll help me out as well. Keep all of you guys informed throughout this season. I think it's going to be a good one. I'm excited for it, and I hope you guys are too. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Once again, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, if you made it all the way to the end of this video with me yapping about these 16 house guests, hit me with that like down there. Smash that like button. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream if you hit that subscribe button. I thank you all so much. It's the easiest way to help the channel. We're growing and growing, and I am so excited for this season. And I hope you guys are too. And I will see you next time.